Did you guys hear about Antonio Brown single-handedly destroying an arena football team? Crazy, right? How is it even possible that someone who was once regarded as one of the best players in the NFL could implode his career so badly? In this video, we'll talk about his most recent headlines, but before we do, let's review how he got here. Antonio Brown was the best receiver in the NFL at one point, until his life was changed forever thanks to one jarring hit on January 10, 2016. We've all seen it. In a playoff game against the Cincinnati Bengals, linebacker Vontaze Burfict drilled AB with a vicious shoulder-to-helmet hit that knocked him unconscious. The Steelers ended up winning that game, but little did the football world know that was the night that the game lost one of its biggest and brightest stars. AB was later diagnosed with a concussion and continued playing after the hit, but he would never be the same again. AB would continue to be a productive member of the team over the following 2 seasons. He was still able to make a big enough impact for the Steelers that they overlooked his off-the-field issues. That wouldn't last beyond the 2018 season. Not only did Brown nearly hit a 2-year-old toddler with furniture he threw from a 14-story window, but he also got into a heated argument with future Hall of Famer Ben Roethlisberger and routinely skipped practice near the end of the 2018 season. This was enough for Pittsburgh to decide they were finished with the wideout, who had once been their golden boy. But even if AB's time as a member of the black and gold was over, his now infamous behavior was just beginning to show its ugly face. The Steelers were initially going to trade Brown to the Buffalo Bills, but that trade fell through after AB protested on social media. Looking back on it now, I bet the Bills fans breathed a sigh of relief. Their team didn't just dodge a bullet, but a wrecking ball-sized distraction. He eventually got shipped to the Raiders for a 3rd and 5th round pick and seemed to be happy in Oakland during his introductory press conference with the team, saying, "I'm here to elevate everything around me. I'm here to just be a surge of energy, of positivity, and good force. A great teammate and to bring out the best of everyone around me, because we all know it's not just about me." The Raiders should have known better, though. By the time the summer of 2019 rolled around, AB was already causing headaches for the team. It all started when his feet were frostbitten because he didn't wear the proper footwear during a cryotherapy session. This forced him to miss all but one of the Raiders' training camp practices that summer. Brown became even more of a nuisance to the team when he complained about not being able to wear an old helmet. He filed a grievance against the league and threatened to retire if he didn't get his way. The helmet fiasco went on from August 9th to September 4th until Brown finally gave in and wore a league-approved helmet, but his bad behavior would not go unpunished. Because he missed mandatory team practices and had several unexcused absences, then GM Mike Mayock fined Brown $54,000. That was enough to make AB go nuclear, as he posted the letter notifying him of being fined on Instagram. The very next day, Brown confronted Mayock, and he had to be restrained by several teammates as he threatened to punch Mayock in the face and called him a cracker. Interestingly enough, one of the teammates who had to restrain Brown was none other than the man who had hit him 3 years prior in Pittsburgh, Vontaze Burfict. The fight with Mayock would spell the end of Brown's very brief time in Oakland, though, as he was released by the Raiders on September 7, 2019. To add insult to injury for AB, the guaranteed money he would have earned from his contract was voided by the Raiders, and he was slapped with a $215,000 fine for his fight with Mayock before leaving Oakland for good. If any average NFL player had done the things that Antonio Brown had done, they would be out of the league by this point. But interestingly enough, on the same day he was let go by the Raiders, Brown was signed by the New England Patriots to a 1-year deal worth up to $15 million. Unfortunately, AB only played in 1 game for the Pats before he was released from the team 5 days later. 3 women, including Patriots trainer Brittany Taylor, accused Brown of sexually assaulting her. Not only that, but Brown was allegedly sending intimidating text messages to his accusers, which caused the team to release him. If you get cut by the Patriots, even after being given several second chances in the league, that's when you know you've truly started to hit rock bottom. But for AB, this was no ordinary fall from grace. This was about to turn into a free fall. At this point in his floundering career, you'd think Antonio Brown would step away from the spotlight and get himself some much-needed mental help, but he didn't, and instead continued to find himself in the headlines for all the wrong reasons during his time away from football. AB has 5 children by 3 different women, including 3 sons with a woman named Chelsea Chris. Their relationship was anything but a happy one. It was full of fights, arguments, and domestic issues. But in January of 2020, AB's home life really started to spiral out of control. While a moving truck driver, Anton Tumanov, was making a delivery to his home, Brown attacked the driver after he realized he still owed $4,000 for the delivery. Brown first threw rocks at the driver's truck, which caused the driver to leave the scene and call 911. However, Tumanoff returned after his company told him to finish the delivery, and after AB's manager called and said that Brown had calmed down. Big mistake. When Tumanoff returned to finish the delivery, Brown violently attacked him, punching him several times in the head, smashing his head against the truck's steering wheel, and attempting to pull him out of the truck. After the incident, Tumanoff had bruises all over his left arm and 2 herniated discs. Tumanoff was eventually awarded a grand total of over $1.2 million for all of his medical bills and pain and suffering. As if this wasn't bad enough for AB, after a particularly bad fight in which Brown accused Chris of trying to steal his Bentley, calling her every name in the book, and tossing a bag of gummy penises at her, Chris decided to leave AB for good and take their sons with her. She made a statement on Instagram which said, "Over the last few years, I have stood at the side of my children's father, Antonio Brown, and watched the rise and fall of an incredible man and athlete. Our children and I have distanced ourselves from him in our former home. Although we have parted ways, I wish nothing but the best for him." Unfortunately, it seemed that Antonio had made questionable choices and continued to ignore the advice of those who loved and supported him. At this point, the boys and I are working on building a new life free from any impulsive, reckless, and unhealthy behaviors. My hope is that Antonio will get the help and seek the mental health treatment that he so desperately needs, so that he can be the father all his children need and deserve. At the time of this video, Chris is engaged in a battle of sole custody of the 3 sons she has with Antonio Brown, but no decision has been made. Even for all his issues and mistakes, there was still at least one team willing to take a chance on AB after all he's done. On October 27, 2020, Brown signed a 1-year contract worth up to $2.5 million with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. AB ended up spending 2 seasons with the team, hauling in 87 passes for 1,028 yards and 8 touchdowns, not to mention he won a Super Bowl ring alongside Tom Brady and his other Tampa teammates as the Bucs flattened Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in Super Bowl 55 by a final score of 31-9. But even though Brown was fairly successful in Tampa, what he did in Week 17 of the 2021 season will be burned into the minds of NFL fans forever. In the middle of that game against the Jets, Brown unexplainably stripped down to the point where he was bare-chested and ran around the field throwing up the peace sign before finally running to the locker room, resulting in his release from the team soon after. That AB resurfaced in March of 2023 when he joined an ownership group attempting to buy the Albany Empire, an arena football team. Brown eventually bought out the 2 other members of the group and increased his stake in the team to 95%. But Brown's ownership of the Empire was doomed before it began. Several times Brown ran the team into the ground. From changing the room keys of players and coaches he had beef with to trying to play for the team, it was clear that AB had no business being the owner of any sports team. His ownership of the Albany Empire reached a low point when the team was kicked out of their league, the National Arena League, NLA, after Brown refused to pay his share of the league's operating costs as one of the owners. As one final middle finger to Empire players and coaches, AB took the checks from their final game out of their bank accounts after they had already been paid. Naturally, his former team wasn't going to take that disrespect, and as of this video, they are preparing to sue Antonio Brown to recover their lost wages. The league is also suing him for what they claim to be $21,000 in unpaid league fees. Former Empire wide receiver Fabian Guerrera spoke out about the incident, even accusing Brown of never truly having any intention of paying the team or becoming a real team owner. "I feel like this was his plan all along," Guerrera said. "I feel like he does stuff for social media and to sell his songs. I think it's just what he does. That's the type of guy he is. No one trusts him anymore. I see it hard for him to get any future deals going because of how he is as a person. From being the NFL's golden boy and possible top receiver to getting into fights with everyone around him and doing bad business, it's hard to see how hard AB has fallen. Hopefully the man gets hit with some common sense soon and goes and gets the medical help he so desperately needs." If you enjoyed today's video, smash the like and subscribe buttons and stay tuned for more great content from Sports Sensi. Thanks for watching.